Are we truly living as long and, well, as healthily as our bodies are designed to? It's a question that kind of lingers, doesn't it? Today, we're taking a deep dive into a real unsung hero of our planet, an organism that holds some pretty surprising keys to anti-aging, sustainable protein, and just, overall well-being. And this isn't just theory. It's based on decades of really compelling insights from someone deep in the natural products industry. Our mission today is simple. Let's pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
It's a critical question, absolutely. Because genetically speaking, the human body seems designed for a much longer run. We're talking at least 120 years, maybe 117 for men on average. Yet you look around and most people are hitting maybe 60, 70 years. And what's really striking, almost unique actually, is that humans don't even reach 80% of that natural potential lifespan. Most species do. Makes you think, doesn't it? About our true potential.
That paradox is...
Yeah, Bryn,
Yeah, it's really thought-provoking. It makes you pause. And the person whose insights we're digging into today, well, they have quite a personal story. A near-death experience in their early 20s just completely shifted their focus, pushed them towards this lifelong search for optimal nutrition, not just for themselves, but, to help others thrive too. And the results, pretty compelling. At 62, completely drug-free, bench pressing 450 pounds. And that's without steroids or drugs, just food. Plant-based News even named them number 40 most influential vegan globally. That's some serious credibility, right?
It absolutely sets the stage. And it makes you think differently about what our bodies actually need. Usually when we talk nutrition, we think, okay, plants, they produce nutrients. And animals, they consume or convert nutrients.
Yeah.
Plants make pretty much everything we need, except maybe B12 that comes from bacteria. Animals, well, they don't really make the nutrients, they process them. But there's this whole third group, often completely overlooked, mycelium.
Mycelium. You called it an unsung hero. That's quite a title. So for listeners who might not know, what exactly is mycelium and why is it so, well, foundational?
Right. So mycelium is basically the root structure. Think of mushrooms. The mushroom you see is just like the fruit or the sex organ, maybe 5% of the whole thing. The real organism, about 95% of it, is this vast underground network of fine threads. That's mycelium and its role. Absolutely critical for life on land. It was the first life to actually come onto land. It literally broke down rock to create soil.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then its networks held that soil together, which allowed plants to take root and grow. And because plants could grow, animals, including us, could eventually exist on land.
Yeah.
Without mycelium. Well, life on land as we know it just wouldn't be here. Simple as that.
That's actually mind-blowing. Something so fundamental, but mostly unseen. So it's ancient, foundational. Just how ancient are we talking?
We're talking ancient on a geological scale. Mycelium has been around for about 2.4 billion years.
Billion with a B.
Billion, yeah. And they found a single living mycelial network, estimated to be over 2 million years old, still alive.
2 million years?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Well, they're incredibly regenerative, self-healing, and they adapt like crazy. They can basically survive almost anything, potentially living forever.
Yeah.
In fact, the largest single organism on Earth is a mycelium network, the humongous fungus in Oregon. It covers about 3.5 miles wide.
3.5 miles wide, one organism.
One single organism, biggest, oldest, longest living thing on the planet. And just to give you a sense of their scale, there are something like 10 times more fungi species than all plant species combined. They really dominate.
10 times more. Okay, that definitely shifts perspective. And you mentioned they're strong, maybe even intelligent. How does a root network show intelligence or power?
Well, intelligence might be anthropomorphizing a bit, but they're chemical powerhouses. That's their strength. A single mycelial organism can produce, get this, up to 60,000 different chemical enzymes.
60,000.
60,000. And this incredible enzyme toolkit lets them break down almost anything known to man. You've got molds, a type of mycelium growing inside nuclear reactors, literally eating radiation.
Eating radiation? Seriously?
Seriously. They can also produce unique enzymes that break down plastics, pesticides, things no plant or animal could touch. They're nature's ultimate problem solvers, you could say.
Okay, with that kind of power, it makes total sense we'd want to harness it. So what are some of the practical ways, the nutritional breakthroughs, that are actually impacting us now?
Well, we've been using it longer than many people realize. Since the 60s, commonly, but really for centuries in things like cheese making, wine making, also traditional Asian foods like tempeh, that's mycelium fermenting soybeans, and even some yogurts. But the really transformative stuff now, it's looking at mycelium as a sustainable protein source. There's a specific type, rhizome mucar protein, for example. You can grow the protein equivalent of an entire cow in just 24 hours.
Wait, an entire cow's worth of protein in one day?
In one day. The efficiency is just off the charts.
Okay, that's incredible efficiency. What about the environmental side? Is it really that much better?
Well, profoundly different. It uses almost no water because the water just gets recycled in the process. It actually produces heat, which can be converted back into electricity. Get this, it sequesters more carbon dioxide than it consumes while growing. It's actually carbon negative in that sense.
Wow, okay. Water, energy, carbon.
And nutritionally, it's basically perfect.
Mhm.
100% bioavailable, perfect digestibility score, a PDCAS of 1.0. Your body uses virtually all of it. Plus, it's a complete amino acid profile. Actually, more anabolic, higher in key aminos like leucine and lysine than whole milk, eggs, even chicken breast.
So better for the planet, incredibly efficient, and nutritionally superior.
It really looks like a game changer for nutrition, for sustainability.
Yeah, it's no surprise then that the UN brought together experts, agribusiness, ecology, sustainability folks. And they pointed to mycelium as the single biggest potential solution for global hunger and sustainability. That's huge recognition.
It is. It's getting that global attention.
But you also hinted earlier that mycelium holds a secret to our longevity too, not just its own. How does this ancient, near-immortal organism manage it, and what's the connection for us?
Exactly. It ties back to a specific compound that mycelium produces, which seems key to its own incredible lifespan. It's a unique type of molecule, a polyamine bioamine peptide called spermidine.
Spermidine. Okay, that's a memorable name. Where did that come from, and why is it so important for longevity, both mycelium's and potentially ours?
Well, the name comes from where it was first identified human sperm. Scientists found it had cell protective qualities there.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
What's also fascinating is it's found in really high concentrations in mother's milk. It seems absolutely essential for the infant's immune system development. The mother passes it on, kind of kickstarting things.
Interesting. So it's naturally occurring. What about food sources?
Top dietary sources include things like tempeh, remember, that's mycelium fermented soy, and certain mushrooms. Makes sense, right? Comes from the fungi kingdom. But the specific form of spermidine derived directly from mycelium that we're discussing, it's incredibly concentrated. We're talking maybe 70 milligrams per serving. That's like 7 to 10 times more than you'd get from any other food source.
7 to 10 times more.
Boom.
That's a significant difference. So what does this potent dose mean for us, for anti-aging? What does the science say?
Well, there was this really interesting study. They took like 146 of the top anti-aging nutrients people talk about, NMN, resveratrol, astaxanthin, you name it. They plotted their effects, and spermidine came out right at the very top. Significantly more anti-aging effects than the others in that comparison.
Right at the top, ahead of things like resveratrol.
Yeah. And the real-world impact looks profound. Studies link higher spermidine intake, spermidine-rich foods, with diminished overall mortality, and specifically reductions in cardiovascular disease and cancer, the two biggest killers, right?
Wow. Okay, diminishing overall mortality, heart disease, cancer, that's huge. How does one nutrient do all that? What's the mechanism?
A lot of it seems to boil down to this absolute fundamental process in our cells called autophagy.
Autophagy. Okay, I've heard that term. What is it exactly?
Think of it as your body's natural recycling and garbage disposal system happening inside every cell. Its job is to break down and clear out old, damaged, or just dysfunctional proteins and cellular parts. Keeps things clean and running smoothly.
Okay, garbage disposal, I like that analogy. It cleans house. So you have mTOR, which helps build proteins for growth and repair.
Right.
And autophagy is the counterpart, the cleanup crew. Makes sense. What naturally kicks this process into gear?
Exactly. It's about that balance. Autophagy naturally ramps up during periods of calorie restriction, fasting, even just sleeping overnight is a kind of mini fast, right? You're not eating.
Yeah.
The body uses these downtimes when it's not focused on processing incoming food to do its housekeeping.
Right, okay. But it sounds like our modern lifestyle, always having food available, might be messing with this natural cycle.
It absolutely is. That's a key point. Modern agriculture, snacking, constant eating. We just don't experience those natural fasting periods like our ancestors did. So autophagy doesn't get triggered as often or as strongly. And when that cellular garbage, those broken proteins and worn out parts starts to pile up, it leads to something called cellular senescence. You get these zombie cells.
Zombie cells. That sounds Ominous.
Well, they're not dead, but they're not functioning properly either. And worse, they start secreting these inflammatory signals, these negative chemicals
Yeah.
that actually damage surrounding healthy cells, accelerating the whole aging process. It's like, yeah, garbage piling up and making the whole kitchen toxic.
Yikes. Okay, so we need autophagy. Fasting helps, sleep helps. Where does spermidine fit back into this picture?
This is where it gets really fascinating and honestly quite revolutionary. So traditionally, yes, fasting was the main way we knew to boost autophagy naturally. There's also a drug, rapamycin, known to induce it.
Rapamycin, right. I've heard of that in longevity circles.
But rapamycin has downsides. It suppresses mTOR, which, as you said, is needed for building muscle and cell repair, so you can get muscle loss, which isn't great, especially as we age, sarcopenia.
Yeah, trading one problem for another potentially.
Exactly. But then came these groundbreaking discoveries about spermidine. First, studies show that when you fast, your body actually increases its own production of spermidine. It's called endogenous production.
So fasting makes spermidine.
It stimulates it, yeah. And then, even more critical, they found spermidine is essential for autophagy triggered by fasting. They did studies in mice where they knocked out the ability to make spermidine. Those mice got no longevity or health benefits from fasting. None.
Wow, so the spermidine wasn't just a byproduct, it was necessary for the fasting benefits.
Necessary. And it gets better. The same turned out to be true for rapamycin. That surge in spermidine was also essential for rapamycin to trigger autophagy and extend lifespan in those studies. The drug didn't work without enough spermidine.
Okay, this is huge. So spermidine is like the master key for autophagy, whether it's triggered by fasting or this drug.
It appears to be fundamentally required, yes. But here's the absolute game changer. Giving extra spermidine, supplementing with it, was found to induce autophagy all by itself, without any fasting.
Wait, really? You can get the autophagy benefits without the fasting?
That's what the research indicates. You get, quote, all the benefits of not eating for 36 hours nutritionally, essentially, through a food intervention.
That is profound. A food, a nutrient, triggering this deep cellular cleaning process.
Exactly. It's why some researchers are calling it a food more powerful than a drug. It challenges our whole paradigm. And studies confirm if you block spermidine synthesis, genetically or with drugs, you eliminate the health and longevity benefits from both fasting and rapamycin. It's that central.
Unbelievable. So it's not just targeting one little thing. You called spermidine pleiotropic earlier. That means it affects many things at once, right?
That's exactly right. Pleiotropic means it has multiple effects, influences numerous pathways, and spermidine is perhaps the ultimate example in the longevity world. It's currently the only known nutrient that has been shown to positively affect all 12 of the major recognized pathways of aging or longevity.
All 12. What kind of pathways are we talking about?
Everything. Mitochondrial function, specifically mitophagy, which is cleaning up damaged mitochondria so you produce energy efficiently. Cellular senescence, dealing with those zombie cells we talked about. Stem cell function. Chronic inflammation, a huge driver of aging. Gut health or dysbiosis. Genomic integrity, protecting your DNA. Telomere length, all of them.
That is just comprehensive. It's hitting all the major pillars of aging science.
It really is. And crucially, in studies comparing various longevity nutrients, spermidine consistently shows one of the lowest chances of causing adverse side effects. It seems remarkably safe.
Okay, comprehensive benefits, strong safety profile. This connects back to what you said earlier about the health span gap. People are living longer, but maybe spending those extra years sick. It sounds like spermidine could genuinely help us live healthier for longer, closing that 13-year gap you mentioned.
That's precisely the potential here. By improving fundamental cellular health through processes like autophagy, it addresses aging at its roots rather than just managing symptoms. And the research is exploding. There are over 1,000 major studies on spermidine and longevity ongoing right now.
1,000 studies. Wow. So beyond the core anti-aging, what are some other specific health benefits that people might see?
Well, the list is pretty extensive. Improved brain function's a big one. Also, effects on metabolism, reduce fat accumulation, increase fat loss. And then there's the hair growth aspect, which always gets attention.
Right, you mentioned that. How significant is that?
It seems quite significant. Spermidine is needed in rapidly dividing cells, like hair follicles. It helps protect the proteins involved in hair growth and clears out damage that can cause follicles to die off. There are 2 published human studies. One showed 20% increased hair growth in just 6 days.
6 days. That's fast.
Very fast. Increased hair shaft thickness too, and even some reversal of graying reported. And in hair pull tests where they gently tug on hair to see how much comes out after 3 to 6 months on spermidine, users lost basically 0 hairs. The control group lost 68% of the hairs pulled.
Zero loss versus 68%. That's dramatic.
It is. It also seems to boost collagen and keratin production, good for skin, hair, and nails. And increases lipids, the natural fats, in the skin, which helps with appearance and reduces wrinkling.
So skin, hair, nails. What else?
Vascular health benefits. Support for cancer health pathways. Immune function is another major one. We mentioned its role in infant immunity via mother's milk. It seems spermidine, produced by our own gut bacteria, also helps stimulate our immune system throughout life. That study on non-breastfed infants showed a 68% increase in allergies if they missed out on that early spermidine. But mothers with high intake passed it on, and their babies had almost no allergies.
Fascinating connection between the gut, spermidine, and immunity.
Definitely. Also, improved muscle function, it seems to help inhibit sarcopenia, that age-related muscle loss, supports liver and kidney health, strong anti-inflammatory effects. And incredibly, there have been reports, even some documented remissions, in neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's with high-dose spermidine, likely linked to that enhanced autophagy, cleaning up protein aggregates in the brain.
The range of benefits is just staggering.
It truly is. And the key thing to remember is our own body's production of spermidine naturally declines quite significantly as we age.
So just when we need it most, we start making less of it?
Precisely. Which makes getting it from our diet or potentially supplementation even more important as the years go by.
Okay, so spermidine is clearly a superstar molecule, but what about the mycelium itself, the protein source you mentioned earlier? Are there other benefits just from eating the mycelium beyond the spermidine?
Absolutely. The mycelium protein itself, besides being highly bioavailable and digestible, comes packaged with other beneficial compounds. It contains prebiotic fibers, which feed our good gut bacteria, and beta-glucans, which are well known for supporting immune health.
Okay, prebiotics and beta-glucans, those are good things.
But there's another component that's really unique and potentially very important: chitin.
Chitin. Right, you find that in like insect shells and shrimp shells.
Exactly. But getting it from those sources isn't always practical or palatable. Mycelium provides a unique food-based source. And chitin has this amazing ability to bind to certain things in our gut. It binds to cholesterol, triglycerides, saturated fat, LDL cholesterol, helping to lower their absorption.
Okay, so it acts like a kind of binder for fats and cholesterol.
Yes, but here's something even more critical in today's world. Chitin binds very effectively to PFAS.
PFAS, you mean those forever chemicals, the plastic stuff?
Exactly. And polyfluoroalkyl substances. They're everywhere, linked to cancer and other issues, and they can stick around in our bodies for years, up to 12 years, some estimates say. Myceliochitin is unique because it's a bioavailable food source that can bind these chemicals in the gut and help remove them. It actually performs better at binding PFAS than any other type of fiber tested so far.
Wow, so it's not just protein, it's potentially a detoxifier for these persistent modern chemicals.
That's what the preliminary research suggests, yes. A unique benefit you don't get from plant-based fibers.
This whole deep dive has been, well, it's really opened my eyes to the power hidden beneath our feet. The potential of mycelium and spermidine longevity, health span, autophagy, sustainable protein, even detox. It's incredibly broad, truly pleiotropic, like you said.
It really is remarkable. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does it mean for us, for our health, for the planet, if maybe one of the biggest answers to so many modern problems has just been quietly thriving under the soil all this time? Perhaps sometimes the most profound solutions are the ones we've overlooked for the longest.
A very provocative thought to end on. Maybe it's time we all started paying a bit more attention to the fungal kingdom. Definitely worth exploring more. Maybe just Google searching spermidine and mycelium like you suggested earlier. See the research for yourself.
Definitely worth a look. There's a lot out there.